Sacerdotus Hangouts, the broadcast that answers doubts about God, the Catholic Church, science, philosophy, and other worldly topics around.
Hello, welcome to Sacerdotus Hangouts on this election season or the conclusion of it. As many of you know, we have just had Election Day in the United States of America on November 8th, and we finally have a winner. After a long campaign season with many crazy things going on, first, so many Republicans trying to fight for the job, some interesting debates among them, and we had four Democrats trying to get the spot, would eventually boiling down to two, Sanders and Clinton, with eventually Clinton taking over. And sort of boring course of debates there, and eventually leading down to two candidates, Donald J. Trump and Hillary Rodham Clinton. And on Tuesday, or I should say Wednesday, November 9th, finally it was decided via the Electoral College that Donald J. Trump will be our next president of the United States of America. Now, this news has created shockwaves throughout the world. As stated before, the campaign has been something that has never been witnessed in recorded history, in my opinion. We had what some people call a Twitter troll being elected. Um, and we also had a Democratic candidate who was accused of all kinds of things, from deleting emails, from plotting with foreign governments, with by using charities in order to fund governments and whatnot. To even the accusation that Hillary Clinton's husband and Bill Clinton, the former president, had a love child with an African American. It was just crazy. Not to mention that side of Donald Trump, we had accusations of racism due to his comments on illegal immigrants and banning all Muslims from entering the United States of America. We had accusations, Trump, women claiming that he got nasty with them, and not to mention the video that was released by Access Hollywood, or was produced by Access Hollywood, where Donald Trump was caught candidly speaking in vulgar terms, saying he could easily get women, that he's pretty much addicted to women, and he wants to kiss them when he sees beautiful women, and he wants to grab them by their genitals and whatnot. And it just goes on and on. Many of you have watched the news and pretty much know what has gone on, but to say that the election was a normal one is an understatement. And many believe that Donald Trump was using the whole electoral process to start some kind of reality program. Well, apparently he was not. He was actually serious about running for president. And he was very popular during while he was campaigning against other Republicans. He was very popular. He won the primaries and he eventually became the nominee. And Hillary Clinton, while Bernie Sanders was very popular, Clinton eventually got the nominee. And it did not end there. There were so many scandals surrounding that. With the revelation by WikiLeaks, the emails showed that the Democratic Party, the the Democratic National Committee pretty much set it up so that Clinton wins. They really did not want Bernie Sanders to win, and that upset many Bernie Sanders supporters. And it was rumored that these supporters would go and support Donald Trump because Donald Trump held similar ideas, not completely, but sort of similar ideas that Bernie Sanders held and promoted, especially in regards to going after Wall Street and banks and whatnot. And with Hillary, she of course ran on the platform of continuing pretty much what Obama did the last 8 years, and of course the whole idea of women's health being solely abortion, which I find crazy because according to the CDC and the World Health Organization, the number one killer of women is heart disease, problems with the heart attacks, strokes, things of that nature. Yet these politicians, like Hillary Clinton, push women's health as being solely related to abortion, as if a woman needs abortion as some sort of treatment or medication. I find that just ludicrous and dishonest, to say the least. When the number one concern for women in regards to women's health is heart disease. And yet, no mention of that is given by these politicians, these so called pro choice women's rights politicians and whatnot. Now, the election was really hard to decide because, as stated before, we had Clinton with all of these problems, legal problems regarding the emails, FBI investigations, and whatnot. Then we had Donald Trump with his um, uncontrollable mouth and fingers in regards to tweeting, constantly getting himself into trouble, saying things. He even stated that he could stand in front of the street and shoot somebody and he would still be on top. And all this kind of rhetoric, and it was just mind-boggling how this presidential election became. It was pretty much a no holds bar. And we had three debates. The first two debates, some people say Clinton won, some people say Donald Trump won. I believe the first one was pretty much a neutral, but I'm leaning more towards Clinton won the first one because she was more prepared, whereas Donald Trump obviously presented himself as not having studied, so to speak. He was all over the place, kept repeating himself. Hillary Clinton caught him at some points. But the second debate, Donald Trump really came back. He was stronger, and he really did not present that much substance, and neither did Clinton. But he did manage to pin her against the wall, so to speak. He cornered her on many things. But I noticed that the first two debates, the moderators were pretty much giving a easy pass to Hillary Clinton. The questions that they asked Donald Trump were mainly questions to try to stump him or make him look bad, whereas no questions were asked of Hillary Clinton regarding the emails, regarding Benghazi and things of that nature, which are constantly discussed on by Americans. But there was no word of that, no questioning at all. But yet with Donald Trump, there was constant questioning on his rhetoric, his comments about Mexican Americans and Muslims, about the things he said in the video regarding grabbing a woman's genitals and whatnot. And but the third debate with Chris Wallace, I think, was the best one. Both candidates came out. They shone well on the debate. They presented their ideas clearly. There wasn't that much bickering back and forth. Chris Wallace was fair. He asked questions from both sides, and he clearly showed that he was neutral, unlike the other moderators, I should say, who clearly showed that they were biased. There's no other way to describe it. They showed that they were biased. And The debates, I don't think really did much to sway anybody in any direction. And I say that because they really did not present anything solid, anything really that spoke to Americans. I mean, everybody would adhere to their own political prison, if you will, their own bias. And that's pretty much it. But other than getting towards those people that were undecided, I think both candidates failed in that endeavor. Trump obviously captured a lot of angry Americans. He really did that. And Clinton, she struggled a lot. She thought that just because she was a woman, she was going to get elected because Americans elected a black president. After 200 years of the existence of the United States, we finally had a black president, or sort of, because he's half black. So Hillary thought that she was going to win the first woman president. And she made up all this rhetoric about breaking through the glass ceiling and whatnot. And she even chose the Jacob Javits Center, which is mostly composed of glass, has a glass ceiling. And it's almost like a metaphor kind of thing, a representation for her campaign headquarters. Because obviously she thought that she was going to win. And rumor has it that her staff were already popping champagne bottles and whatnot. Whereas Trump seemed more calm, even though he was saying he was going to win, and but still there was concern that he was going to lose because the polls kept coming out that he was losing, that he was behind Hillary Clinton. But Trump kept saying that not to listen to the polls. The polls really do not mean anything, and I tend to agree with him with that. And I try to explain this to atheists, especially whenever the Pew study brings out a poll saying that Christianity is dying in the world or dying in America, and they present all these numbers, and atheists come out saying, "Aha, we're winning." And I say, "No, wait a minute, hold up, look at what you're looking at first. A poll just takes a sample size. It's not everybody, so the results are based on that sample size. It's like if I take 100 people and I ask them a question, the response is only based on those 100 people that I chose. It's not a reflection on the 200, 300 million Americans or 6 billion human beings on earth. It's just a reflection on the 100 that I posed the question to. So whenever you saw these polls saying that Hillary Clinton was on top, why not? Most likely the people that answered these polls were Democrats. And of course they were going to pick Hillary Clinton. And of course she was going to appear on top. It, it's a no-brainer. So I agree on Trump in that regard that, polls are there, they're okay, but they're not really put your money on it, so to speak. And he was proven correct because despite the polls saying that he was losing, he won. He came out on top. And according to the Electoral College, and the image that I have here is from Election Day, a screenshot that I took from Google, he got 276 electoral votes. Some reports now saying that he got over 300. But again, there's different numbers. I'm not sure why there's so much confusion regarding this. That's another thing that was troubling for me on election night. CNN and other networks, despite seeing that Trump was winning in states, for example, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, when the precincts reported showed about 93, 97%, 98% reporting, and it showed Trump was on top, they did not call the state for Trump, which I found odd. I mean, obviously, you're just 3% near completion of counting votes, and it shows that Trump is on top, then clearly he should be projected the winner. To me, it seemed like CNN and these other cable networks did not want to present Trump as the winner, as if they were in denial or something. And It wasn't until around 2:50 in the morning that they finally said the winner is Donald Trump. And Hillary Clinton, she started out slow. She got a few electoral votes, and then Trump just kept going from there. And it was at one point that she passed Trump for a while, but then Trump kept coming back. He kept winning state after state. And what pretty much nailed it for me was that when he won Florida and Ohio, and especially when he won Pennsylvania, that was a big shock for me because Pennsylvania, for all intended purpose, is a blue state, is a democratic state, and they always vote for a democratic candidate, just like New York State, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey, California. These states always are blue. If they appear red, hell must have frozen over because for as long as I have been alive and I have studied elections before I existed, these states have been blue, excluding, of course, from the 1800s when some of them were red, but that was a long time ago. So when I saw Pennsylvania went to Trump, I was like, wow, he won. He has this in the bag. And that was exactly the outcome. He won. And Clinton, she was supposed to give her concession speech at the Jacob Javits Center. And lo and behold, Podesta comes out and starts speaking on her behalf. He doesn't concede the election process that they're going to wait until everything's counted before they make any formal announcement or whatnot. But apparently, Clinton didn't show up to the Jacob Javits Center to talk to the people, to her supporters, because apparently she was crying inconsolably. So I believe this loss really hit her hard. I mean, she lost against Barack Obama. And this time she thought she had it in the bag. And she was running against, quote unquote, the Twitter troll candidate, Donald Trump. So she felt she won this. And she has support from all kinds of celebrities: Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Katy Perry, and Miley Cyrus, and Cher, and all these other colorful characters out there that make money off the young people, pretty much, of the naive. And she thought she won, that she had it in the bag. Even some magazines published the cover calling her Madam President. But it must have hit her hard that she lost to Donald Trump. After the polls again were saying that she was winning, and all of these things indicated that she was on her way to become the first female president. But it was interesting who actually voted for both candidates. As stated before, Clinton tried to push the whole women's reproductive health mantra, and she thought she had it in the bag. She thought she had women supporting her because she's a woman and she supports abortion, and therefore all women support abortion, according to Democrats. So she thought she won women, but according to the statistics of the exit polls, over 50% of white women voted for Donald Trump, which was a big surprise, especially after the video came out where he said that he likes grabbing women by the genitals. He used a P word, which I'm not going to repeat, but you pretty much know and probably heard already the tape. Not to mention the many women that were appearing on an order accusing him of sexual misconduct. It almost became like a Bill Cosby thing, with a woman appearing every other day claiming that Donald Trump did something. And I'm interested to see where that goes to now, because Donald Trump vowed to sue these women because he claimed that they were lying. And so far, that seems to be the indication, because these women all of a sudden disappeared. Trump won, and we do not hear one peep out of these women. So far, it seems, based on the little evidence that we have, that these women were probably making all of this up in order to make Donald Trump feel bad. Now, Hillary Clinton blames the FBI. She claims that the FBI was the cause of her loss. Because in July, Comey, the FBI director, said that he found nothing wrong with the emails that were deleted or missing or not. But then, about a week before the election, he came out again, sent a letter to Congress saying that he's reopening the case because they found allegedly more emails on the computer of disgraced senator, congressman Anthony Weiner, who is being accused of sending nude photographs to a minor, to a 15-year-old girl. So again, everybody was like, "Wow, Clinton, we finally have information to convict Clinton." But then Comey comes out again and says, "Nope, false alarm. I still stand by my decision that Clinton did nothing wrong." So then everybody on Trump's side was upset again. But then Clinton loses. So she's blaming Comey and the FBI for the loss. But this is what I think why Hillary Clinton lost. And I'll be honest with you, I think Hillary Clinton would have made a good president. I mean, obviously, I do not agree with her on many things. But in regards to education and equal pay for women and things like that, I'm on board with her on that. Also with Bernie Sanders. But of course, I'm against abortion and the other things that she presents in regards to marriage equality and all of that. I'm totally against that. And also amnesty and the idea of open borders, just letting anybody walk into the nation, not caring who enters. I'm totally against that. But overall, I think she would have made a good president. Not a great president, but I think she would have made a good president. She had the experience behind her. As opposed to Donald Trump, who never ran for office, never held office. And he was just a real estate mogul and eventually got into reality television with The Apprentice and women's pageantry and those things. So he really does not have any experience at all regarding government. And he would come out of nowhere and say that he has more knowledge of ISIS than the generals. And those kind of comments really raise eyebrows. I mean, how can you never served in the military, you never served in politics, and you claim that you know more than the generals? I mean, that's strange to say. That's like an atheist saying that he knows more than the Pope on Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just ridiculous to make a statement, that kind of statement. But Hillary Clinton, I feel that she lost because she was a clone of Barack Obama. What I mean by that is that she wanted to push Obamacare on the people again, wanted to even expand it, make it even more powerful, more gripping of the people that still haven't signed up for it. And Obamacare, as many of you know, is a disaster. The news came out that the premiums will increase 22%, in some states over 103%, which is a lot. People are struggling as is. Obama promised that you could pick your own doctor. It's not possible with Obamacare. Religious orders, hospitals, Catholic hospitals, had to go to court because they were being forced to perform abortion and other things to go against the teachings of the church or their own respective religion. A good example is the sisters who were sued pretty much or threatened by the government for not complying with the mandates of the Obamacare. Then we have the mandate that if you do not sign up for healthcare, you get fined like $700. I mean, how is that possible that you choose not to have healthcare and you get penalized for that? It makes no sense whatsoever, especially in a country that values freedom and liberty and so forth. So there was a problem with that in regards to Obamacare. She was repeating that. Then again, with abortion, she kept pushing the idea of women's reproductive health as if that's what women care about. Women do not care about that. Some do, but this is not a woman's issue. And obviously, the exit polls show that women care about being able to get a job, getting their kids educated, getting equal pay, getting respect, things like that. They're not defined by their reproductive organs. So I feel many women were offended by Hillary Clinton's rhetoric by presenting women's health as solely an abortion thing. And like I said in the beginning of the program, the number one killer of women is heart disease. Yeah, there's no mention from any of these politicians about this in regards to women's health. So that's the second thing that I think really did her in. The third thing is, since she was cloning a clone of Obama, she kept on pushing the LGBTQ rhetoric, marriage equality, and blah blah blah. And a man who that identifies as a woman should use the women's bathroom, and vice versa. Americans don't care about this. Americans do not care who uses what bathroom, unless you have a child, and of course you don't want a man going inside the ladies' room when your daughter's there. And the same thing, you don't want a crazy lady going in the boys' room when your son is there. So this will be the only instant that an America will care about who uses what bathroom. But Obama and Clinton and the Democrats kept pushing these issues as if they were something important that people really cared about, as if it was a matter of life and death. What people cared about is getting jobs, being able to pay mortgages, students graduating from college and drowning in debt, and then not even able to get a job. Students, young people my age and younger, many of them are stuck at home. They're still living with their parents because they're not able to go out there and get a job, even with so many qualifications. And I know people who have bachelor's degrees, master's, and PhD degrees who are not able to get a job, and they have experience. It's not like they just went to college, graduated, and then went and tried the workforce. These people had experience, whether it's fast food or secretarial work or volunteering work or things or a previous job that was not white collar, and yet they struggle to get a job. So people care about those issues, but here we have Obama and Clinton pushing marriage equality and abortion and who uses what bathroom, and Americans do not care about that. They wasted their time on that rhetoric. They became completely deaf to the majority of Americans. The Obama presidency and the presidency that Hillary Clinton wanted to continue was a presidency only for the few, for gays, lesbians, queers, transsexuals, feminists, and a small group of Democrat elites. That's who they were the president for. That's what she wanted to be the president for. So that turned off a lot of people. And then here we have Donald Trump, an outsider, somebody who's not part of the Washington cartel. And he's speaking about getting people jobs and people helping students with their debt and stopping illegal immigration and so forth. And finally, we have somebody who was speaking on the issues that Americans cared about. So that's why I think Donald Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost. Because Trump, while he said some crazy things and did crazy things, he was focused more on what the people wanted, which makes perfect sense. So the American people finally spoke. Sorry, we seem to have some difficulty here with the microphone. Hopefully, you could hear me now. Well, as I was saying, the people like Trump better because he obviously showed that he was in touch with the what the people wanted, which is ironic because usually billionaires are out of touch with everybody else, which is which brings to mind when Hillary Clinton came to the Bronx and she was near the new Yankee Stadium on 161st Street and River Avenue. She did not know how to use a Metro card. And this is a lady who lives in New York, who was a senator in New York and claims to be a New Yorker. And she had no idea how to use the Metro card. So, I mean, to me, that showed how out of touch she was with the average American, especially a New Yorker. Yet New Yorkers voted for her, which I really do not understand why. But then again, they're all brainwashed by the progressive rhetoric of abortion and marriage equality and blah 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 blah. So these New Yorkers really they cannot escape this brainwashing, unfortunately. So we're going to see this for the time being until they wake up and try to think differently, to say the least. So Trump, he pretty much tapped into that anger from Americans who were upset with 8 years of being ignored. Like I said before, Obama was focused on things, on people who really did not deserve to be focused upon. You cannot run a presidency of so-called civil rights and whatnot while people are starving, people are losing their homes, lost their jobs, and so forth. It's just wrong, it's unethical. Meanwhile, a small tyrannical minority gets all of these alleged rights and are being celebrated. I mean, in New York City, they want to build a monument to celebrate the LGBT community. I mean, come on, it's a waste of money. We have over 60,000 homeless people in New York City. 60,000, over 60,000. And that was counted back in the winter, last winter. Yeah, they want to spend money making a monument for the LGBT people. I mean, It's just ludicrous. The priorities are mixed up. So Americans had enough, and that's why they voted in Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is now the president. Then we had the issue of immigration. States was obviously founded, if you will, on immigrants. George Washington, the early settlers, the pilgrims, and so forth. Uh, they were immigrants, obviously. They came here. And even I dare to say the Native Americans who were here, their descendants were immigrants or migrants. If the theory of the people from Asia walking through the continental bridge between Russia and Alaska is true, then even these people are not native to these lands and are immigrants. But that's beside the case. The issue here is not immigrants per se, but illegal immigrants. The I word, illegal immigrants. And for far too long, we have people coming into this country illegally. They come here, they do not pay taxes, they use false names, sometimes they steal the identities of others. Happened in Puerto Rico that many Dominicans came to Puerto Rico and illegally, as well as Cubans and Mexicans and other people came to Puerto Rico to the island, and they stole the identities of deceased Puerto Ricans. And Puerto Rico had to reissue birth certificates. That's how bad it got. These people were stealing the identities of Puerto Ricans to the point that the government in Puerto Rico had to reissue birth certificates to all Puerto Ricans born on the island. It's just a travesty. Then we have the ones that come to this country, to the mainland. The Mexicans, Dominicans, and Cubans, and so forth who come. Well, obviously, Cubans have they're allowed to stay if they make it. But the other groups that come, they come here illegally. They get jobs they paid under the table, so to speak. Do not pay taxes. On top of that, they get and other um, programs to help Section 8, the projects and housing, HUD, and American citizens who try to apply for these programs many times get rejected. In colleges, you see Puerto Ricans who are citizens by birth apply to scholarships. They try to do good in college, try to get recognized. And then here comes a Mexican or Dominican and whatnot. They tell the little story of that they came from a poor nation, blah, blah, blah. The little pity stories. Universities give them scholarships. And then what happens? They graduate and they cannot get a degree because they're illegal or they use the false name. Meanwhile, the Puerto Ricans are ignored. They're not given scholarships. They're not helped out in the same way that illegal immigrants are helped out. It's unfair. And like I said, they go on welfare. They abuse the system, get free money. They work on the side. The government's not monitoring any of this. Then they start having children galore. And in New York City, you see this a lot. You see, you walk through the area of Mount Carmel on 187th Street in Belmont. You see many illegal immigrants there, many Mexicans, Albanians, and so forth there. And then you see these, like a school load of children that they have 5, 7, 10 children, nearly taking up the whole block. You can hardly walk around the area. And they do this because they are able to collect money for each child from welfare. So they're pretty much scamming the welfare system. Now you're probably saying, how do you know this? Well, a lot of them share this. People talk amongst each other. They share the secrets what to do. And me growing up in the Bronx, being from the Bronx, I was made aware of this, of how these people scam the government. And it's unfortunate. It's sad. So we have people upset about that the money that should go to the right people who are really struggling, to the legal citizens, is not going there. And then we have the problems with the criminals coming in, bringing in drugs and whatnot. And the people living in Arizona and Texas who are closest to the border have to deal with having these strange people coming out, running behind their backyards and whatnot. They deserve to be secure. And a nation cannot exist unless it has borders. Now, again, I'm not saying that we should not help immigrants. Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. My issue is that they come here illegally and they abuse the system. And Americans who the system is supposed to serve are getting pushed away, getting ignored. That's my issue. I think that's not just. I think that's unethical. And recently, the Catholic bishops said that Donald Trump has to be more humane to these immigrants and whatnot. I mean, to the bishops, I say, learn the situation, learn how these people are stealing from the government. I mean, they came here illegally, they broke the law. That should be common sense. You should not endorse illegal activity. Shame on you. And I was blocked by a bishop, Bishop Farrell, who was promoted to the cardinal recently and was given a position in the Vatican. He tweeted something in regards to the immigrants and we had to help them, whatnot. And I said, shame on you. You shouldn't be endorsing illegal activity because that's what you're doing. You're endorsing illegal activity. The bishops should be telling these people to come here legally. And if they want, they should provide the lawyers free of charge to help these people come here legally. At least that's what I would do if I was a bishop. I wouldn't go around using the pulpit to say, just come here, everybody come here. Who cares about American laws? Just come here. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my mansion enjoying the high life of a bishop. I mean, if you're a bishop and you support illegal immigration, then open up your mansion, open up your palace, and let these people come in and sleep in your place. But don't leave the burden upon the rest of the Americans who had to pay taxes so that these illegal immigrants and their children could go to school. Who had to pay taxes so they could enjoy the services like firemen and fire department, the police department, and so forth. It is just not fair. And it's also not humane to have people here illegally without papers, without status, without protection. I think it's wrong to have people here who are scared to call the police whenever a crime happens to them because they're scared to be deported or scared to go to the hospital because they think they're going to be deported. I think that's wrong to endorse that kind of existence. It's immoral. If you really care about people, you're a bishop, you're a Catholic or Christian or anybody, liberal, progressive, conservative, if you truly care about people, then you should push for legal immigration so that these people come here legally and can enjoy the protection of the law and the benefits of the law because they're legal. They're part of our system now. So they do not have to live in fear anymore. To me, that makes more sense. And to me, that's the moral option, the only moral option. Other than letting these people come here illegally, many of them dying along the way, coming here to a strange country, not knowing what to do, who to contact, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from, and being afraid to call the police whenever they experience a crime or call an ambulance whenever they are injured or not. So Americans who obviously are passionate about the issue of immigration obviously voted for Trump on those grounds because he spoke very strongly about building a wall, about deporting these people, especially the criminals and so forth. Now, I'm hoping he follows through with all these things because, like I said, I feel that it is unethical to have people living here scared to live freely. like an American because they came here illegally. I think that's immoral. And in regards to abortion, Trump promised to overturn Roe v. Wade or try to, and I'm hoping he keeps that promise. But I'm disappointed that he refuses to touch the recent case of so-called marriage equality. In the interview of 60 Minutes, he said that it was the law of the land and that he's fine with it. Yet he wants to change Roe v. Wade. So he seems to think that the one decision by the Supreme Court is more overturnable, if you will, than the other. That Roe v. Wade could be overturned, but the marriage equality cannot. I mean, it's just crazy that he even thinks that. Obviously, he does not know much about the Supreme Court, how it works, but he's able to try to push for the overturning of both. And I think he needs to do that. Abortion, the priority, of course, because for far too long, human beings have been killed before they have even been born. So that's the number one priority, to defund Planned Parenthood and overturn Roe v. Wade. The second is to make an amendment in the Constitution, overturn the decision of marriage equality by installing pro marriage justices, turn that case, and then put in the Constitution an amendment saying that marriage is only between one man and one woman. And that way, the institution of marriage is protected and religious freedom is protected. No more lawsuits of who's going to bake what cake and what not, with what on it. And then there's no more issue of what constitutes a marriage. There's no more confusion regarding that. Then perhaps the secular government could figure out another way. Just give the benefits to these partners without calling it a marriage. There's no need to call it a marriage. We need to return some sense of rationality to the law, to the Constitution. Because otherwise, then we're going to have polygamists wanting to legalize their form of marriage. We're going to have pedophiles wanting to promote relationships between adults and minors. And on the argument of same sex marriage, it makes sense to legalize those other forms of marriage. Because if you did it for them, why not for the other? Right? So that's why we need to return some rationality to the law in this nation. So I'm disappointed on Trump on that issue. Hopefully, somebody knocks him over the head and reminds him that he's supposed to be a conservative and a Christian, and that he promised to defend religious freedom himself, that he was not for marriage equality, and he should hold to that ideology and not just change on the spin of a top. So with the election, of course, it brought about many protesters. Now we have people coming out saying Donald Trump is not my president and whatnot. There's riots breaking out in Oregon and other cities, and I mean, it's just mind-boggling because these people do not understand the democratic electoral process. Somebody won. Donald Trump won fair and square. You cannot deny that. He got the electoral votes. You have to get over it. Move on with it. 4 more years, you could get to vote again. But to go to the streets and disrupt other people and damage property, attack police officers, what do you hope on gaining with that? But these people, they seem to be, these millennials seem to be or feel entitled to things, and it's just unfortunate. You have the Ray McKenson and all these other clowns out there promoting empty ideologies. They march and march, and they don't know where they're going. And unfortunately, so many young people are susceptible with MTV and these other musicians, JC and Miley Cyrus, and all these individuals. They listen to these clowns and get brainwashed and go around and protest for something they really did not ponder carefully. They don't really think through. And we really, as Catholics, we really need to go out there and educate young people and remind them that marriage is between a man and a woman, that abortion is wrong, and all these issues. We need to ground these people back to reality because they adopted this form of relativism that's scary. That they believe they could just make up life along the way, and it just does not work that way. Rome, Greece tried to do it, and where are they? Ruins. So that is the route we're going to. We're going to continue this rhetoric, this relativistic rhetoric. So these people out there protesting, saying Donald Trump is not my president. I mean, I understand you're upset. A lot of people are upset that he won, but that's the electoral process. That's America. If you don't like it, go to another country, or wait 4 years and vote for whoever's coming. If Clinton decides to vote again, or maybe Bernie, or maybe Michelle Obama, who knows? But don't go out there and harass people and march on lies, because a lot of the things that they're marching on are based on lies from the media. That Trump is a racist. It's all propaganda that was put in the media. When you actually study the facts, all the accusations disappear when you go and take the time to look deeply into the facts. Now, granted, Donald Trump's done a lot of crazy things, but I do not see any evidence that he's a racist or that he abuses women and whatnot. He's obviously a man who's very outspoken, has that New York attitude, personality. And you also have to remember this guy was a reality TV star, just like Ronald Reagan was an actor. So of course he has to. He's playing that role, and so far it seems that now that he saw that he won, he seems to be taking it seriously now. And we can only hope so that he takes it seriously. So hopefully these protests will die down, and these young people will grow up, will focus on school. Many of them are walking out of their college classes. I mean, I would never walk out of my college class for that stupidity. Waste my tuition money, waste my time of learning and prepare for exams to protest something that's American, the electoral process. Now we have this petition going around that garnered over 4 million votes, asking for the electors of each state to ignore the vote of the people. I mean, can you believe that? These people are asking the electors to ignore the votes of the American people, of their states, just to make Hillary Clinton a winner. And it will be decided on December 19th. So it's just crazy. It's ridiculous what's going on in America today. It's this socialism, fascism thing that's brainwashing the young people today, making them into slobs, into dependent slobs, crying for any little thing without getting the facts. And hopefully this ends under the Donald Trump presidency, because all of this started with Obama. We did not see this under President Bush. It all started under Obama. He started to empower people with stupidity. That's what I believe. So hopefully things will change, will be for the better. Donald Trump is not even in office, and they already want to get rid of him. I mean, I think it's just un-American to think that way. At least give him a year or 2 years, see what happens. If he fails, if he messes up, if the country is in a worse state, then try you can to get rid of him, to impeach, or wait until the election. He'll be voted out anyway because his own supporters will be upset with him. So they will be discouraged. They will feel like he failed them, just like Obama did, and they will not reelect him. But don't go out there and start harassing people and protesting and damaging stores and looting and putting vulgar graffiti all over the place. I mean, grow up. Come on. Seriously, grow up. So that's my view on the whole election this year, 2016. I feel that, again, Hillary lost because she was pretty much repeating Obama. And Obama was focused on other things that the American people didn't care about. So that's why I feel she lost the election. And Trump tapped into that anger of the American people. Now, whether or not he follows through his promises is left to be seen. But we call you hope and pray that he does what he says, and that hopefully America will become greater again. So thank you for listening to this broadcast of Sacerdotus Hangouts. Until the next broadcast, which I'm going to have atheist open mic and Catholic open mic. And for atheist open mic, hopefully we'll get an atheist to join, or a couple atheists to join, or another Catholic or fellow Protestant brother, sister, whatever, Muslim, whatever, theist to join, and we could have a discussion. And for a Catholic open mic, thinking of discussing the whole situation with Pope Francis and Cardinal Burke's letter to and the other three cardinals to Pope Francis, asking him to clarify um, the whole issue on whether divorcees could receive communion or not. Divorcees who are married, if they could receive communion or not. So that should be an interesting discussion, because that's the current event of the church at the moment. And speaking of Catholic and the Vatican, I forgot to mention that another reason why Clinton most likely lost the election was because of the Podesta emails, where it showed that the DNC was trying to infiltrate the Catholic Church and force the church to change the views on abortion, same-sex marriage, and or not, etc. And I think that upset a lot of Catholics, because a lot of Catholics voted for Trump, and usually Catholics vote Democratic. But this time they voted Republican, which I believe is testament to the power of the email that showed that this Catholic Spring that the DNC was plotting. And then also with Donna Brasier, who was chosen to be the interim chairperson of the DNC. One of the emails showed that she was giving the questions to Clinton for the debate. So I think that hurt Clinton as well. It was pretty much a campaign run on dishonesty and doubt. So people did not want to trust her with the presidency. If she supposedly did all that in emails, or her people did all of that in emails, then she's capable of anything if she became president. And that would be a scary thought. So that's another issue that I forgot to mention in regards to why Hillary Clinton lost the election. Anyhow, thank you for listening. God bless, and may we keep.